voila. Not popping on the gram, but I'm popping when I pop out. Tell me what's the plan, I'm on demand, I don't clock out. The pistol bro hand, he gon' rock out with the clock out. I'm the one with the plan, fully focused on the bands. Growing up, I had nobody, only tricks.
Welcome to the Root Cause Podcast. We are back again for another week. We got an exciting guest again here for you. But you know where we're about to start off. I hope everybody had a great week. Everybody's safe. Everybody's happy. Let's start with our community empowerment. Let's go there. Let's start with POP, Pivotal Operation Practices. They work to transition your ideas into reality. They're cost efficient. They have great planning and the quality with a little bit of speed. Their focus is on general tasks, communication, marketing, personal assistance, and much more, like web design and all kinds of things. So go check them out at popvaservices.com. That's popvaservices.com. Next is going to be our milestones and elevations. Milestones and elevations is a 501c3, a nonprofit, and what they do is they educate the community and they empower them as leaders to use their passion and purpose to instill in the upcoming generations to become the value and change in the world that we want to see. So they don't just focus on one group of people, they focus on the whole entire family, right? So go check them out at Milestones, Elevations, and Community Development. And you can find that at www.mecomdevelopment.com. All right. SOS, Substance Over Symbolism. Check out Substance Over Symbolism on Facebook and Instagram right now. They had a couples retreat back in October. You can look for the next one to come and some great footage at SOS, Substance Over Symbolism. That's right. Go check out V&W. That's Coach J. Coach J is a hell of a wealth mind coach who did an awesome job on the Root Cause podcast. We can't wait to get her back again to have further discussion. She highlighted some great things, so go check her out and book a session with her. So this week we have a good brother in the house, another author, an innovator, an artist, most importantly, from Houston, Texas. Let's welcome KEVO. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
My God. I'm happy to have you on board today, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Good to see you as well, man. Hope all is well.
Oh yeah. So, what's been going on? Tell us where are you from, okay. And two, why are you here?
Well, I'm from Houston, Texas. Why am I here? Well, that's a deep question. You know, I'm an artist. You can't be asking me stuff like that.
Hey, man.
But I'm here on this podcast to talk about my play, and which is basically the book I just wrote. And why I'm here on this earth is to create art.
There we go. There we go. Your purpose is to create art. And tell us about where that passion for art came from.
Well, it's innate. You know, I'm not sure your beliefs or the ones watching, but I would say, to keep it simple, is God-given, and the skill is. But the passion comes from my experience. You know, I'm a well-known, I guess in my prior life, before I went legit, was a well-known drug dealer. And selling dope is, you're basically a salesman. You're basically a salesperson. So a lot of my passion came from the realization that the things that I was doing in the streets were not productive to sustain long-term success.
Mhm.
You either end up in dead or in jail, and most people know that, or you end up never growing up. So I decided one day, I found out, I realized I found myself, and my
Yeah.
purpose is to make art, and I just never looked back.
Yeah. And so with being in that lifestyle, did anybody in that lifestyle inspire the art though? I mean, where did it come? I mean, I
Well,
know
a
you
few
said
people, man. I'm fortunate, man. I'm glad you asked that, because I'm fortunate to have good. My girl is good, man. My friends are good. My family is good. I'm fortunate to have people in my life that say they kind of stand on anything I'm doing or doing right. They kind of like, all right, yo, we gonna support this. So I remember, I have a friend named Malcolm. That he's like, man, I always know, I know, I know we selling dope right now, but he would always say, bro, you gonna make money doing art. And I had another, man, losing myself, but I had another instance with Slim. That's his name. I almost lost it. He used to do my tattoos, and I used to come by. He used to be like, hey man, where your homeboy at with the powder, so I can buy from him. And he was like, man, I know you sell coke, bro, but you need to be doing tattoos. Like he used to tell me that, because I used to draw my tattoo out for him and be like, I want this. And he was like, nah, man. So I've always had encouraging, supporting cats. I guess that's the best way to put it.
There you go. And so I heard you say that you used to draw out your tattoos for the artist to draw on you.
Yeah. And
So,
to this day, they call it freestyling, but to this day, like, it's been normalized. The artists don't stencil. A lot of artists don't stencil. They just draw them out like I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just it's like I guess it's freestyling. Like I just look at my own design basically.
Okay. So tell us about the book first. Tell us about the book. And
have it here, by the way.
Yeah. So there we go. What do we do now?
Oh yeah.
What do we do now, baby?
I knew you was ready. Trust me.
Man,
I knew you was gonna have it.
But I like seeing the tangible book in hand.
What's great is my daughter. For her to grab it and feel it and touch it, me experiencing her, do that. That was a great feeling for me. But about the book, man, it's a creative book. It's very artistic. The first thing I want to say about this, it just came to me, is this book is published as a play that I'm doing in April. Only one of the characters is non-black. I don't want to say non-black, non-minority, because there's a Hispanic character as well. But she asked me when she was doing an interview, how did you fit all of this into one book? Like, how did you do that? And I'm saying that to answer your question. The book is about issues that African Americans have dealt with from the 1940s to like 2020. So I boggled up all these issues together and then gave the issues to one family. But I threw the family in 1965. So they're dealing with it after the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah.
So they're dealing with Emmett Till. They're dealing with all kind of stuff, like war on drugs, just you think about it, it's in there. Welfare, sex trafficking, all kind of stuff. They just dealing with all these issues, and it's like the title of the play. Man, what we gonna do now, man? We do it. We show we can survive. We show we can push through this stuff. What we gonna actually do?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So where did that dream or that concept come from?
To be honest with you, bro, people start calling me when Kanye West and Kyrie Irving was dealing with the Jews. And I was like, no offense to them, but I was like, damn, our people really don't be knowing a lot about our history. But they're calling me because they know a lot of. They know KEVO know a lot about history because they know I read a lot. So I'm just telling everybody to repeat the same information. And I was like, man, I should write a book about this. And I'm talking about I spit this book out. Like it went from, I'm an artist, so my brain told me, should I paint it? Should I write a poem? And I was like, no, I'm gonna write a play.
Yeah.
spit the play out. Talking about shot it out. I was done with my first draft like in a day or two. And when I get to draft number 7, 8, that's when I start sharing with people. Like, what you think about this? Showed it to my homie, my good friend, the best filmmaker alive, Dominic Draper. I showed it to him. You need to do something with it. I was like, all right, I ain't gonna do nothing with it. I'm gonna just publish it on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Published it. Literally, maybe 3 days went by. I had 5 reviews, 5-star reviews. And I usually don't get reviews when I post a book on Amazon because I didn't promote it or nothing. It just doesn't happen. Just being practical, being realistic. You don't just get reviews without any promotion.
Right.
And then I learned, okay, it's this thing called Kindle Unlimited, and people just search for new books sometimes, and that's how I got the reviews. So I just posted, hey, if y'all have Kindle Unlimited, check out my book, start getting more reviews. And I was like, oh, man, how I am, I'm an action person. It's time to do something. I start calling theaters. Hey, man, I got this script. Check it out. One thing turned to another, and now it's ready for its first adaptation to be produced in April. So the book is in play format. So when you actually open it up, it's not written like a story. It's written like a script.
Right. Dope.
So you're actually, if you're a younger person out there that wants to get into scripts and theater, you get a little insight on how some of that stuff is written. Because you can't. I tell it to kids when I go speak to kids. Hey man, y'all trying to go be these movie stars? You gotta know how to read.
You gotta know how to read. Yeah.
You gotta know how to read.
Yeah. My youngest boy he goes to a performing arts school, and one of his majors is theater. Mm-hmm. And so with the whole learning his monologue and all of that stuff, you got to know how to say the word. You got to know what it means. You got to know history. Yeah. You want to dive into it, man, and actually become that in what you're trying to reenact. Why do you choose? You said 1965, so, and you said they're dealing with everything. That we as a people are going through or went through, but at 1965, why did you choose 1965? Because I'm thinking Rodney King was already there.
I'm so glad that you asked me this, bro. I picked 1965 because it was the end of the Jim Crow laws. I know so much about our history, bro. I done forgot some shit. That's how much I know.
Yeah.
And the Jim Crow laws, in my opinion, was worse than slavery. So I didn't want to pick the Jim Crow era because I feel like it would have been cliche. Oh, another black play. Oh, another about trauma. And I didn't want to pick the 40s because I feel like it's outdated. It's too old.
Right.
So I said, all right, let me pick the year after the Civil Rights Act, which is the act that outlawed the Jim Crow laws. And I wanted to pick a time to where there were outside interference because of the vicariousness of black people that would always overshadow my story.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is you take the 60s, you have a lot of assassinations. You have a lot of outside noise. You have the Italian mob. I'm talking about that in there. Then you take the 70s, you have pimping.
Mm-hmm.
70s, that was big in the 70s. And then the 80s, you have the heroin.
Yep.
You have heroin in the 60s too. Then you got the 90s, you got the crack epidemic.
Yeah.
So I looked at those decades. I said, all right, I don't want to play about crack. I don't want to play about heroin. I don't want to play about pimping, but I'm going to include all this stuff. I say, man, I'm going to show that dynamic relationship between people, which is the Civil Rights Act, which is how we're dealing with other nationalities on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. And I was like, that's the perfect year right there.
That's what's up, man. And then and what it sounds like you're doing is you're telling how all of those things directly impact us.
Oh yeah,
as
sure.
people,
Sure.
When I'm writing,
it shows it, bro. This family. I'm glad the first adaptation has such a good cast, but this family, the way I wrote it, you really see that even though they're dealing with 1990 issues in 1965, you really see how we dealt with stuff. Like you can. Mm-hmm. Well, I have this thing about black households. Like you can almost tell somebody black by the sayings they say, the idioms.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hear a term, you be like, I know that's black, but what part you from? Like
right.
TT baby or or what's another one? She, instead of saying she pregnant, oh, she with child. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right,
it's very it's our culture, bro. But it's they this family they did their thing, man. I love this play.
I heard you say that you believe that the Jim Crow era was worse than slavery. That's a perspective, brother. Let's get into it.
So this is my script, right? It's just we just finished rehearsals, right? This is double-sided paper. So
Right.
get an idea, it's about that thick. But it's double-sided paper. So picture two of these. The book of the Jim Crow laws is probably 2 times thicker than that.
Yeah.
Jim Crow law says stuff like, don't look a white man in the eye.
Yeah.
You know, don't cross the street at this amount of time. All these laws that were systematically adopted and put into place based on discrimination, white only water fountain, black only water fountain. All of these laws that you don't hear about them today, but the system is still the same and in place that hasn't been changed. It's just the laws aren't there. So you take slavery and you can almost look at it as like a business. You can look at it as like religious colonization.
It was a business, yeah.
Yeah, you can look at it. It's just a lot of perspectives. You can look at it as righteousness. You can look at it as like a prophecy. You can look at it as, man, you lost. You can look at it like Kanye did. Slavery was a choice.
Right.
But you can't do that with Jim Crow laws.
Right.
That's just racism.
All the way through.
You cannot understand. You cannot tell me I get it. You can look back at slavery and be like, oh man, you know what? That was just how it was back then. You know, you can't do that with Jim Crow. It was horrible.
It was the law. Yeah.
It was the law. Yeah.
It was the law. Yeah. And I've heard guys from like Duck Dynasty. You know, you remember that show where the father he basically came out and said, black people were better. Their communities were better during those times. Yeah. And things that, so you hear that kind of rhetoric also.
Yeah, I don't see me. I don't like to get into that because I think that turns into a perspective thing, and then it turns into multiple conversations. It's not that's something tough to talk about in 5 minutes. Like where you better, because it gets very trivial, and then you have to make a decision. Like, are you American? Or are you black? Or are you it just gets too deep to even get in that part of it.
But I will say, as a black man, I haven't felt American in a long time, and also being a veteran, I haven't felt American, as a
man. I get you, man.
As a child,
that's a tough cookie right there, man.
Yeah. And so that the family in your book, what are their feelings, as they travel throughout this period and experience, these things.
Well, there's character arches. When you're writing with intention, you're writing with obstacles, you're trying to have a resolving action, climax, all of this stuff, beats, you're still telling a story. So I did something here that is completely against the rules of writing. I took away an antagonist. There's no antagonist in this story. So I'm saying that to say the way they deal with it is the underlining subtext is almost like a message through that person. So the son, he changes his life.
Yeah.
The daughter, she proactively decides what she wants to do.
Yeah.
The mother gives up her old way of thinking. You get what I'm saying? So it's a journey. It's not it's definitely a journey. So it's not like there's no, we overcame this bad person,
Yeah. And so what was your process and how much work was it to get this project to the next level of being a play?
Man, I'm a worker, man. I get it done. I got that Beyonce, that Michael Jackson in me. You catch me in action, you catch me on the set, you be like, hey, he be working, he be serious. I get it done. It's easy. If it's coming to me, I meet the universe halfway. I get it done, bro. I start I made phone calls. I did what you got to do. I don't even know how to answer that question, honestly, because when people have issues getting stuff done, I look at it as like an excuse, and I'm very direct with stuff like that. I feel like that this podcast wouldn't exist without your effort. And
Right.
I applaud you for that, and I respect you for even having it. So I don't even want to think about if you didn't have it. You know?
Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah.
And so, but I asked that question because, you know, executing is hard for most people. Executing is hard. Most folks have an idea. Most folks have a want to get things accomplished, but the execution of it is something that most people don't do consistently.
Yeah, they don't. I don't have trouble with it though. I'm cold, bro. My heart is, bro. I ignore my past a lot, but let's keep this in mind. All right, I grew up without my parents, right? My aunt raised me. Different families raised me. Grandmother raised me.
Mm-hmm.
I meet my actual parents. One of them doesn't live too far. I became insensitive to a lot of outside noise and outside pressure early at an early age, just off of not having parents. I started selling crack. I probably was like 13, bro.
Man.
So I'm conditioned in a different way for pressure. I was in maybe 3 or 4 shootouts before I turned 18. You know, I got shot. I went to jail. I didn't go to my high school graduation because I was in jail. When I got out of jail, I got shot. After that, I got stabbed. You know, like I had a very, how can I say this? I had a very like strength building life. If this is hard, bro, if executing is hard, something is wrong. Like for me, like, bro, come on, I don't brag street life, so I'm not trying to brag, but that shit was harder than this, bro.
No, talk your truth, brother.
That shit was harder than this.
Talk your truth, because people.
If you want to write a book and you can't finish, bro, to me, you just weak. Like you just weak minded. Like that. Seeing mother struggling is harder than that. Like, you know what I'm saying? To me. So execution is just about your attitude, your mental, your character breakdown. I'm just a strong person, and I've created a lifestyle to where I can block out bullshit. And sorry for cussing, but
no. You can do all that.
Block out a lot of BS, man. I just try to protect my words, choose my words wisely. But yeah, I try to block out a lot of BS, man.
Yeah. And so when you go talk to the children and you go talk to the youngest, how do you gravitate towards them? Because I've been in front of those audience too. And so when you first get there, they looking at you like, who the hell are you?
It's easier for me because I don't wear clothes. I tell people the message is in the medium, and people will laugh at me when I do that. I don't wear, not naked, but I don't wear like a nice shirt. I wear pajamas. I go wear t-shirt and some shorts and some sandals, some slides. So it's easier for kids to relate to me because I look normal. Mm-hmm. I don't look like they don't want to see a doctor come and speak to them. Mm-hmm. If the doctor has on his doctor outfit or if he has on a suit, you already missed the message. This is why rappers are very effective as they become accidental leaders. Mm-hmm. Rappers become accidental leaders. They don't even want to be. It's because you look like your audience. You know what I'm saying? You look, even though they ain't got all the jewelry and stuff, if you take that jewelry off, you look like an average guy that they're used to seeing on an everyday basis. Mm-hmm. It's hard for studio executives to come speak to kids because Russell Simmons dresses nice. Yeah. It's hard to do that. It's hard to connect with children or even any youth if they look at you and don't see themselves.
There we go.
It's easy for me. I'll go in there with a t-shirt and some sweatpants on.
Yeah.
And kill it.
And are you giving them much of your past, or are you?
Sure, yeah, I have to because I know it's entertaining for one, and also I understand that they going through that with 6 degrees of separation. Like, I didn't have a relationship with my mom. you'll be surprised who lives with their mom and doesn't, you know,
Right.
or whose brother doesn't, you know, or who doesn't, you know. My mom was raped. I talked about that. She told me she was raped before when she was a child. You don't know who's been through that. You know, I talk about the worst shit because it's the truth, and it's the only way to protect myself. So this is why I don't get nervous. I thought I didn't get nervous because of my training in acting, but as I grew older, I've been able to articulate this feeling I had. I don't get nervous because I'm not afraid to tell the truth. Like when you're unsure, that's where that nervousness comes from. But I'm confident that before I even got this podcast with you, I'm not lying about shit. I don't give a fuck if you ask me when the last time I had sex. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just an open book, so it's hard for me to be rattled. So they see that authenticity whenever when I go speak to high schoolers or kids, and I don't like to speak to adults. So that's another thing about me. It's a little easier because that's somewhat of a comfort zone because I'm talking to people who I can really influence versus people who go nod their head and be like, yeah, I like that. Let me post a picture with you online. I don't want you'll never see me. I don't do that type of stuff. I'm not into. If I go feed the kids, you're not gonna see the pictures of it. You know what I'm saying? If I go feed the homeless, you're not gonna see a picture of it.
This is true, bro. Because when I was looking you up and getting information, I found you actually in your craft, outside of you promoting those things and what you talk about. Because you actually go do it and be that, and then you get back to the work.
Yeah, exactly. My homeboy always said that. I went to U of H with him. He told me that my process is weird because he doesn't see me doing much. He just sees it come out, and he's like, but you're always doing stuff that's effective in the streets, but you don't never say, hey, I'm doing this. You just kind of be like, oh yeah, last week I did that. Like, you know, he was like, that's always been weird to him. Like, you did the homeless thing, the turkey drive, and then you didn't promote it or nothing.
You're that quiet storm that they talk about. You know, you just pop up, it gets done. It's like, hold on, man, where all this rain come from?
I know. My teachers, one of my professors said I need to put that in my resume. You get she's funny. She was like, I get shit done. She's like, you know, put it in your resume.
How much of your family influence is in the book?
Man, my favorite scene, bro, in this book is I got to tell you this story, man. My favorite scene in this book is when the Nigerian woman comes to visit the African American household, because that is one of our issues. My book is a commentary on a timeline. That's a Black issue. Caribbeans, Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans that don't identify as Black, we don't communicate directly. We don't communicate correctly. We don't really know each other. So it's so funny to see the idioms, these two Black women talking to each other, but they're from two different cultures. I just love that scene. And what that came from is when I was younger, I had a Nigerian side of my family and a Black side of my family. But what's beautiful about, let's use this word, the universe. We're not going to use the word God.
Okay.
What's beautiful about the universe is how I met the Nigerian side of my family. Mind you, I'm selling crack. I'm bringing ecstasy pills to school. You know what I'm saying? I'm that. I'm my homeboy Sean Raymond. He and Shania used to hide stuff for me. You know, like I had homegirl Shania. She, man, like they used to keep me out of trouble because they already know what's going to go down. Man, I'm in theater arts class. I always love acting, bro. I always love movies and stuff. And I'm. Everybody looks at me as Black, but they know my name is African. My last name is African. So nobody sees his name. It's not normal. You know, it's like to people, it's not a normal name. I'm in theater class, and this was my favorite class. The teacher, she said, Kevin, come here. And she looked at a paper. She said, this girl got the same last name as you, and y'all in the same class. I said, who? I look at the girl. She said, her over there. I was like, you know, like what? The girl walked up to me. She said, you look like my uncle. I said, oh, shit. She was like, your daddy named Bola? I said, yeah. She said, you look like my Uncle Bola. She said, you my cousin. And she was like, talking about all this like lies and childhood and stuff. She said, I'm taking you home. You know what I'm saying? So that day we went home to her house. I talked to my uncle. We were just talking about my childhood, about how they never met me. and just experiencing that side. That's what started me experiencing a lot of like the Nigerian side of my family. But you asked me about family. It's crazy because what's the odds of that happening? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, I
yeah.
get a lot of family support from both sides, but what's the odds of me chilling in high school and I'm just chilling in my theater arts class, and this one girl comes in, and icing on the cake, she dropped the class the next day. She was in the wrong class. She didn't sign
Yeah.
up. So you
Wow.
can't tell me whatever you believe in ain't real. You can't
Yeah,
tell me God ain't real.
that
The
was
universe
supposed to
ain't real.
happen.
Definitely. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
He came and got you. Yeah, he came and got you, Slim. You gotta meet. You gotta
yeah,
get a different thought process to go meet these other folks.
bro.
Um,
So in terms of how family affect that Nigerian aspect of black people and Africans and black people and non-black people getting together, that their relationship, you know, like, oh man, why y'all don't like us? Why y'all don't like us? That part of my life influenced that part of the story.
and so that was my next question was because here in the metropolitan area, this at one point in time was known to have one of the largest Nigerian populations um, in the United States,
Yeah,
right? But as African American, I've always heard and sometimes felt that
yeah,
our brothers and sisters from Africa don't really fuck with us. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? And so it was like, well, I fuck with y'all, and I want to get to know y'all because that's where they say we come from over there. So I feel like if me and you can have some kind of connection, I can have more of a connection there because I don't feel one here. You
yeah.
know. So what's your perspective? How was that relationship with you blending in to your Nigerian side because you got a Southern accent, brother?
Yeah. So it's because I didn't grow up with Nigerians. I was in high school. My sister's dad was Nigerian, so we used to eat fufu and stuff at his house. But I didn't grow up around Nigerians. I grew up around straight black. We grew up in the hood. We lived in north side, south side of Houston, and Brazelwood my whole childhood.
Yeah.
And then just when I thought we was finally moving on up, we finally moved to A-Leaf. I'm thinking, we moving to the good side of town. We moved to Spice Lane, and I know you don't know what that is, but that's like one of the worst parts of A-Leaf. And that had a lot to do with, like, even though it was a better school district, I saw the organicness of being hood versus wannabes, because there was a lot of wannabes in this area versus like when I was in Brazelwood, people used to die all the time. Like, it was like not a big deal to me.
Right.
Like, you used to hear about that all the time. Down to the A-Leaf, somebody finally died. People was like shook and crying, and they threw a block party. I was like, what the hell wrong with these people? And I was like, it's because they're not used to it. And I remember, and where I used to live, it was more so, it was like, man, shit, yo, we're going to put you on that RP shirt. You better stop playing. They used to tell people stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the whole funeral, they want to come to the funeral. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot more dangerous. So I think I didn't pick up on that same accent and all that because I didn't live with them.
Mm-hmm.
I was cultured in a very different way.
My God. Okay. So that's dope that that part of your family, you getting to know, that other part of your family, and so that plays out in your book.
Yeah.
And just the two women just having a conversation, and
That's my
two
favorite
different
thing.
perspectives from two sides of the world.
I love it.
And
We just rehearsed it today. I was like, bro, it's so funny. It's my favorite. And I didn't even know I wrote it that well. It's probably my favorite thing I wrote is that scene. It reminds me of movie scenes that I like. But I'm gonna let you get your question out. My bad.
No, you good. So on the play side, how much control do you have, or is this as the executive producer someone else, or is this your baby?
I wrote it. I'm directing it. It's my first time directing. But my homeboy Dominic Draper, shout out Dominic Draper, man. I don't know what I'll do without this guy when it comes to film. I just asked him to extend his hand and help me produce it remotely because he live in LA and I'm in Houston. So he did a good job helping me start up on a lot of production things I needed. And when I want to film it, I'm gonna get him to film it. But it's mine. It's pretty much mine. His help is remote, but it's definitely needed and appreciated.
So I'm asking that question because I'm also working on some independent film things, right?
Yeah.
And I know how tough it is
Yeah.
to uh, pull together not only what you believe is talent, but also have it organized, keeping them people happy, so
Yeah.
that you can have a finished product. Talk about that part of the process that you're going
That I
through.
have a lot of experience with. I'm very direct and I can come off really mean. So my reputation went from street dude to like, man, he mean as hell to like, oh, he just direct.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've gotten a lot better over time. But to be honest with you, you just gotta spot the BS fast immediately and don't sell yourself short. If you see somebody not communicating well, you gotta let them go. If you see somebody not serious, man, or you see somebody that can do it better, you have to be knowledgeable of the realm of what you work in. And these Hollywood stories will tell you all the time. Samuel Jackson said he felt like he did his best audition ever for Quentin Tarantino's first movie. He in almost every Quentin Tarantino movie except like that
He
one.
is, yeah.
He said he felt like he did his best audition ever, and he felt so bad when Quentin Tarantino didn't cast him for his first film. And he said Quentin called him and was like, "Nah, I got something else for you. You got
Mm-hmm.
to be able to think like that. Like this may
Mm-hmm.
not be your one. You can do something else."
Mm-hmm.
I've had people audition for one role and get another. It's just the pieces have to be fall into place, very organized, and you cannot skip a step. You have to complete this step before you move on to the next, or it's gonna fall apart.
There we go. Choosing your team to help you turn your vision into a reality. Is your team built, and if so, what's your process on building that team?
Um, I For the cast, I auditioned people, and I had a couple table reads. For the crew, it's people I worked with in the past. So I'm pretty much established now to where the process, if I was to repeat it, like if I was to say it, I wouldn't be able to give an effective answer because it's so normal to me. But if I go back to my first times doing it, I'll basically just correct the mistakes I've made over the past in terms of auditioning and finding people. Because at one point, networking is the key. But
There
once
we
you
go.
go to networking, you're working with people you didn't network with. So basically, I'm working with people I've networked with in the past.
There we go. There we
Yeah.
go. Your network is your net worth by BJ Page, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so this sounds like it's going to be an awesome play. Can go ahead and tell the listeners where it will be, the times, and the date?
Oh yeah. So it'll be Easter Monday. We got Easter as a national holiday on Monday now for some reason in a few states.
Mm-hmm.
7 p.m. April 10th at Match Houston. You can get tickets on matchhouston.org or on my website, artbykevo.com. Also, the book is on Amazon and Kindle. What Do We Do Now? So you can search that online. And if you're in Houston, man, you better come see the first. This is the first time it's ever being played. We might get 100 shows. This might be a big hit. And it might be, you don't miss the first one ever.
There we
So you
go.
better come, especially if you know me, because you know how one dude told me, I forgot. He said, "Man, I saw your first movie. I gotta see this." I said, "Man, you did come see my first movie."
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's going down, man. It's
There we go.
well written, a lot of 5-star reviews, so it ain't a bad piece of work.
So we in for a treat. We in for a treat. Will there be something that you will provide so those that are outside of Houston that can't get to it be able to support?
Well, they could I have a Kickstarter that I'm trying to start up, but they can also um purchase tickets, and I tell people they can purchase tickets in my name so that I can give some away. And they can also purchase the book. And I'm really I'm going to film this eventually with Draper, and we're going to have it out on distributing on streaming platforms.
There we
So
go.
people will see it eventually.
Because I want to see that bad boy, man. I want to read the book. I want to see, and I want to get to know KEVO, man. I want to see what he's
It's
working
a
with.
short read too. It's a short. I was like, man, everybody be like, I read it in one day. I read it in 2 days. It's a short read. It's not that long. So
That must mean it's good. It keeps people's attention. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
So
it is good. The girl, one of the man, we done had. I don't want to give it away, but people be man. We did a table read. Somebody start crying. It's good.
man, yeah. So there we go. Easter Monday this year, Houston, Texas. You can go to artbykevo.com to buy tickets, or also buy his book on Amazon. Carol, leave the people with final thoughts.
Oh man, good one. So let me go back and think about all the stuff I covered and try to give somebody some game. I think that if you're watching this, you're either interested in African American culture, interested in the podcast, interested in books or artists. And I think to sum up most of what I said, I'll leave you with if you want to do something, you might as well just do it. It doesn't matter if it's bad, good, or great, because if it gets done, whether it's bad, good, or great, people are going to either love it or hate it either way. And what's most important is that you're going to learn from it. So when you do the second thing, the same thing is going to happen. And the third thing, the same thing is going to happen. And then the fourth thing, the same thing. Go on and on and on and on and on. It doesn't matter if you're Michael Jackson, Beyonce, or just regular old Joe. Somebody's going to hate on you. So,
my God.
Yeah.
My guy. Hey, y'all are now watching the Root Cause podcast, where we like to have discussion about everything as far as relationship and how it affects our community. KEVO, we appreciate you for coming on today, brother. It was a pleasure getting to know you, man. I hope to support. I cannot wait to read your book. I cannot wait to see your stage play. What do we do now? Y'all go check it out. Artbykevo.com. What do we do now? It's a riveting story about a family after 1965 that's going through everything black. We'll catch y'all next time. Later.
All right, bro.
I recommend Father Get Out There Rich or Son.
What do we do now? 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 What do we do now?